Well, let's go ahead and get started here today. I want to welcome you to our webinar here with Securely. I am Kyle Thompson. I'm an account manager here with Pine Cove. I'm fairly new to Pine Cove, been here about 8 months, and excited to do this webinar today with Securely. Just a few items to start off with. If you guys have any questions throughout this webinar, there is a chat function. Go ahead and chat those through. We can actually see your questions come through throughout the broadcast. And we'll go ahead and hold those to the end. We'll have Greg. We have Greg here today who's going to present for Securely on student safety for the digital environment. And if you have any questions that come through, we'll have Greg answer those at the end. Just want to thank you all for jumping on this with us today. Just to kick off, I want to talk to you a little bit about Pine Cove. A lot of you already know Pine Cove or have met Pine Cove over the years, but just a quick recap, Pine Cove has been working with school districts and with educational institutions since 1993. We have a pretty wide territory that we are starting to cover. As you can see here on our map, we have engineers in a variety of different cities, a few different states, and we are growing. We are excited to start this partnership with Securely, as it's given us the opportunity to grow into some new territories and some new verticals. We have some experience, some pretty lengthy experience in cybersecurity. We've won a few awards here with Sophos as Partner of the Year and Q2 Partner of the Quarter in 2017. And we support about 20,000 users on a daily basis, and that number is growing. I'm going to tease Jace, our marketing expert, and say that number is probably getting closer to 30,000. So we're going to continue to see that growing as we continue to support more school districts and more small businesses. So how does Pine Cove take an approach to solving technology problems? So obviously the first thing we do is when we encounter any problem, we try to analyze that problem, understand what different components are that go into solving that problem. With engineers that are either on site or in some cases where the engineers may not have that expertise, we help design a solution. We are also in the deployment phase. We do post-installation support, and then obviously the sustain or maintenance phase. What's great about Pine Cove is we work with a variety of districts in different parts of this. So there are some instances where we come in the design phase and the deploy phase and don't do so much the support. And there's sometimes we do all five buckets, which is great. So depending on your guys' situation or what you guys might need, please reach out. We are more than happy to work with you and would love to help you in either in any of these phases that might come up in your district. We provide a variety of different solutions. Today we're excited to talk about a few pieces of this pie here. The Securely product that we're going to talk to you today about is affecting both the communication, your infrastructure, your devices, and sort of that cloud application delivery. This product we're really excited about it as we've implemented a few districts and have seen how one, it protects your students from malicious digital content that exists on the web. It also helps engage your administrators in understanding what's happening on a daily basis, as there's a lot of administrator portals that can give some granularity and detail into what students are doing on a daily basis. And we really love the parent engagement side, which we're going to talk about as well. Student safety nowadays is of the utmost importance, both from a digital perspective on the web as well as any sort of physical perspective. And Securely has a few different pieces and components to their pie that address those different situations. And so we're so excited to see this product grow in different regions and just see how it impacts different schools. So with that, I'm going to give it over to Greg, who is the student safety consultant here with Securely. He has a great presentation. Again, don't forget to ask those questions on the chat, and we will address those at the end there. And go ahead, Greg, take it away.
Thank you so much, Kyle. I appreciate the introduction. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. So my name is Greg Hall. As soon as I get this display setting right, let's see if we got this right. How's that look? Is that showing up appropriately, Kyle?
That is, yep, go ahead.
Okay, great, thank you. My name is Greg Hall. My role with Securely is K-12 safety consultant, and I'm part of a team of customer support specialists that work hand in hand with our filtering customers, not really on the technology side of what Securely does, but on the practical application of the resources that Securely provides. So I'm excited to share some of those special features and resources with you today, focusing first on our filtering product, what is built into our cloud-based web filter in regards to early warning detection for students who might be at risk and increasing communication and supervision by partnering with parents. And then we'll talk a little bit about the other side of the house, the email, the Google Docs and Drive side of the house, and what we provide to help you ensure that kids are properly supervised in that environment as well. And we'll wrap up with our 24-hour live human monitoring offering, which we provide as well. So to frame this just a little bit, I'm certainly preaching to the choir, I'm sure, with this audience, but the idea that we're faced with, or the challenge that we're faced with now in education, is very much that kids are in two environments usually simultaneously throughout the day and oftentimes at home. They're in our physical environment and they're in the digital environment on our devices that we provide for them. And it is certainly ingrained in us in education, the importance of early detection of kids in distress, the importance of supervision to minimize impulsive behavior, supervision to allow early intervention at the first signs of trouble. We get that in education, and we get that in the physical environment very well. It's why we supervise our classrooms and the hallways and the cafeterias. But the challenge is, how do we then supervise this digital environment where kids are engaging with one another, communicating with one another, exploring individually? How do we keep them safe in that environment? And so I joined Securely in July of 2017 after 20 years in education, 6 years as a high school principal. And I joined Securely very much because I was intrigued by these features. It answered, as we went one-to-one at my high school, where we had 1,500 students, as we went one-to-one with Chromebooks, the solutions and resources provided by Securely really answered some of those pressing questions that we dealt with. Before I dig into the parental integration piece, I do want to speak a little bit about the early warning detection that we have within our web filter. And all of these pieces that we talk about today, I really kind of put under the umbrella of early warning detection and then appropriate supervision of students in that digital environment. So the early warning detection that we provide is called flagged activity, and that is built into our cloud-based web filter. And what that means is if a student is using a school-issued device and is searching for or visiting a website related to suicide or self-harm or violence, we are able to send a real-time alert to whichever school administrators you would like to receive those at that child's school. So for websites visited that we have categorized as being related to suicide, self-harm, and violence, searches done, and we also will alert for any Facebook or Twitter messages, status updates on Facebook, tweets on Twitter. We're able to scan those, use an emotional sentiment algorithm that doesn't rely purely on keywords, looks at the actual context of what's being written, and send that real-time alert. So administrators that have the benefit of securely filtering the devices at their school have access to that early warning system where we're going to send a real-time alert and let you use your professional judgment to decide if further intervention is needed for that student. In addition to that, within Securely, we have a feature called the Securely Home app. We previously used to call it the parent portal. That was before we had actually developed the app for this, but since releasing the app, we now refer to this as the Securely Home app for parents. This really falls under both the early warning detection and the supervision headings as far as keeping students safe. And what this does is allows schools to partner with parents and allow parents to see their child's online activity, allows parents to see reporting, essentially unique to their child from the school issued device. It gives the web filtering and student safety data, including flagged activity that we provide for administrators. It also has some additional features which allows districts to give parents some control of devices when they go home, have some say in how those devices are filtered. So I'll spend the first few minutes of this afternoon sharing with you what this Securely Home app looks like, and then we'll move on and talk about the email side of the house as well. So I am really proud to share that we have over 1 million parents that have this feature provided for them from school districts. We just crossed the millionth parent mark last week. And this is something that we recommend our school districts communicate this to their parents and roll it out to all of their parents. And we help you with that. We help you with every step of the rollout. It has three main features. The first is the activity feed within the app, which is going to show 30 days of search history, videos watched, websites visited, all of the reporting that you would expect as an IT admin. We're able to provide that for parents. It's highly customizable in that you can decide what you want parents to see in that reporting. That's specific if you're sending devices home. You can decide to show parents everything, what takes place at school and at home, or just what takes place off campus. We also provide the flagged activity for parents as well. So if a student is searching for or visiting websites or posting about suicide, self-harm, violence, or bullying, we're able to not only populate that within the app for parents, but we can send parents a push notification as well. Again, this is an item within the app that's customizable by the school district. You do not have to leave the flagged activity in there for parents, but most of our school districts do. And then the third piece is specific to school districts that are sending devices home. In addition to filtering off campus and allowing visibility into what the child is doing on the device for parents, you can also, if you choose, allow parents to have some control over the filtering policies when that device is off campus as well. And then the final piece, the plug and play hub, which will appear within the app if you want. It can also be removed from the app if you choose. This is points parents towards our consumer product that provides this same functionality, the same filtering and reporting that you get through the app for the school issued device. It allows parents through a subscription service to provide that same level of filtering and control for personally owned devices within the home. The activity feed itself is really the meat and potatoes of this feature. And the idea here is put information that's specific and actionable and relevant and consistent in the hands of parents and allow them to use that information as needed. It provides 30 days of filtering activity. If parents have multiple children in your district, they will just have one interface and they can select from a drop-down menu of all activities which child they would like to view the activity for. We will show parents, again, the same level of reporting that the school IT admin or school administrators can see. We'll show them everything that a child has been blocked for, anything they've successfully accessed, what they've searched for. Again, I mentioned we have over 1 million parents that have been using this, and the feedback over the past 2 years has been really incredible and positive from parents and school districts that have rolled this out. Overwhelmingly, the feedback that we receive from parents is that this gives them peace of mind, that they're appreciative that the school has kind of opened up this window into the world, this digital environment world that they otherwise haven't had access and visibility to. And since, quite frankly, most students aren't suffering from anxiety or mental health issues or aren't involved in cyberbullying, for the vast majority of parents, this provides peace of mind and provides them specific information that they can engage with their child in, specifically regarding academics and interests. But no less important, if not more important, although a smaller percentage of parents will also have the ability to be a first line of intervention when their child is showing signs of distress that's evidenced through their searches and their website history. The activity feed can be customized. So if you are sending devices home, and we have school districts that use this that don't send devices home. We have a lot of school districts that do. If you send devices home, you may choose to hide the at-school activity. You can say to parents, hey, mom and dad, we've got this taken care of at school, but we respect the fact that we're sending these devices home with your child. We want you to feel comfortable with that. So certainly we're going to filter them, keep them off the bad stuff, but we're going to let you see what they're doing when that device is off campus. As mentioned before, we will provide the flagged activity for parents as well. If you want, we can also turn that off for you. Again, the idea is if there is something of concern through searches, social media posts, or websites visited, we want parents to be able to act on that as quickly as possible. And we've recently released push notifications for the flagged activity for parents, so parents can choose to accept push notifications if there is anything of concern that we detect. The rules is an optional part of this optional feature that's included with your filtering. And this is if you send devices home, if you would like to give parents some level of control over how those devices are filtered. I know at my former school district, when we pushed, we had about 30,000 students in our school district, and we started to push to send Chromebooks home. And there was some anxiety. I think it was a small part of our community, but a vocal part of our community. And they were not certain, they certainly were not incorrect. And having some anxiety. And I sat at many board meetings where these parents discussed their concerns about the Chromebooks coming home, especially at the lower grades. It would have been really nice at the time to be able to, again, say, we're going to filter them. We're going to not only let you see what they're doing, but mom and dad, perhaps you're a little more conservative or the tides have changed from day to day with what you're comfortable with your child doing on the device. If you want to tighten it up, if you want to block something in addition to what we're blocking off campus, you have the ability to do that. We give you several options within the rules piece of this feature, no control being the default option. So if your community is perfectly satisfied with how those devices are being filtered off campus, there's probably no need to give parents any control. We do offer something called full control, which I think out of our 800 or 900 districts that use this feature, I think maybe 1 or 2 school districts use full control, which means you're essentially giving parents full filtering policy control when that device is off campus. So it's not one that I particularly recommend, but it does match certain school districts' philosophies of how they manage these devices off campus. What we do recommend, and what's used by most of our districts, are either using restrictive control or custom control. If you choose to give parents restrictive control for devices off campus, what you're allowing them to do is add additional restrictions to the off-campus filtering, but not allowing them to loosen up any of the categories that you have blocked. So under restrictive control, if a category is left open and a parent wants to block it just while that device is off campus, they have the ability to do that, and they can block individual websites. Custom control is also a really nice option. It differs from restrictive in that custom control actually allows you to block a category, but leave it available for parents to unblock, where under restrictive control, if it was blocked, parents wouldn't be able to touch it. So custom control is best used if there are categories like perhaps social media or chat that philosophically, you guys are perfectly fine if parents want to open it up, but you're going to block it as a courtesy to them in your take-home policy or your off-campus filtering policy. But if they want to open it up, that's fine with you. You just want them to have to make the conscientious decision to do that. And then the final feature within the Securely Home app for parents is the pause button, which allows, again, for devices that go home, it allows parents via the app to pause the internet on the school-issued device with a click of the button through the app. For our schools that roll this out, we help you with every piece of your rollout. The general kind of workflow for school districts is to evaluate Securely as a web filter, and as part of that evaluation period, to also test out this feature. Once schools decide to roll this out, we help you. We provide, this is a sample of a letter template that we provide that certainly can be adjusted and edited to meet your needs, but you let parents know a couple of weeks ahead of time when you decide that you're going to turn this on. You let them know that this is coming. Let them know the date you're going to make this available for them so that they can download the app. Let them know that they can unsubscribe from our weekly email reports that will come to them, and that we actually handle the tech support for parents as well. So I always recommend kind of beefing up this statement where it says, if you have any further questions, email help@securely.com. You could change that to say, if you have technical support questions as a parent, you can email help@securely.com. We will take care of your parent support questions for this feature. Once you do turn this on for your parents, again, ideally they will already have been introduced to this via some sort of communication from the school district. Once you turn this on, we will follow up with a welcome email to those parents. Again, just reminding them, hey, you have access to this feature. Please go ahead and download the Securely Home app, and you will have access to your child's activity and the flagged activity and rules if you've provided that as well. We will tie this together for parents with a weekly email report that's just a small snapshot of activity generated on their child's device by their child from the previous week. So we send this every Monday to our parents. They can unsubscribe from this anytime. The idea with this weekly email is just to help maintain that engagement. Our open rate for this email is around 60% average, and our unsubscribe rate cumulative out of those million parents hovers around 4.5 to 5.5% of parents who have had this rolled out to them and said, no, thanks, we're unsubscribing. Just from the technical side of this, again, if this is something you were interested in testing out, I would certainly work with you hand in hand to make sure that you feel comfortable with it. But just so you have a general idea, to manage this within your Securely dashboard, your IT admin dashboard for the filtering, you'll have a Parents tab. In that Parents tab, you do a CSV upload of parent and student name and email information, and that's how we map the parent to the student. And so this process can be done manually by just exporting that information from your SIS, or if you're testing it out with just a few parents, just manually entering their information into the CSV and just dragging and dropping that into this enrollment bar. Most of our schools, after they test it out, however, will automate this process through an FTP, and we have a guide that will assist you in doing that, so that CSV will update and sync, not sync, but it will update once a week or every other day, whatever you determine is best. It'll pull that data from your SIS, so you don't have to touch it. Once you've uploaded your CSV, there's only two configuration options that you need to worry about. You go to your settings, again, through your Parents tab. You decide at the top, if you're sending devices home, what level of control, if any, you'd like to give to your parents. And then at the bottom, you decide what level of visibility you want parents to have. If you do not send devices home, you're going to want to make sure that Show All Activity is shown. Our school districts that choose Show All Activity, whether they send devices home or not, take the approach that they like the idea of increasing communication with parents, sharing with parents what's going on school issue technology throughout the day. They like the idea of using parents as another set of eyes to help keep kids on task throughout the day. The idea that 7th grade Johnny is less likely to search for impulsive things that might get him in trouble if he knows when he goes home, mom or dad are going to be able to have a conversation with him about that. When school districts do send devices home, sometimes they say, we're going to start a little more conservative. We like the idea of being transparent, but we're not ready to quite be that transparent. So we're going to start by just showing home activity only. And those school districts, again, the talking points to parents are, we've got this covered and monitored throughout the school day, but we're sharing that responsibility with you when these devices go home, and we want to be able to give you that visibility. So we'll show you the reporting that takes place off campus. Or some school districts do a kind of a hybrid model where they show parents off-campus activity, or home activity only, we call it, and then only the educational sites that students access throughout the day. So there's sort of a fit for everybody depending on your comfort level. Certainly anytime you bring parents into the loop and start sharing information with parents, there's conversations that are going to take place. How comfortable are we? How comfortable are our teachers with parents seeing what's going on in the classroom? So as you navigate those discussions, and I'm certainly happy to have those discussions with you and your colleagues, as you navigate those discussions, just know there are options that usually fit all perspectives. If you'll take a second and just look at some of the feedback from a few of our parents over this past year, again, overwhelmingly, the feedback we receive, because it's just a matter of statistics and numbers, the feedback we receive is that parents appreciate having another resource for information about their child if they have questions. They appreciate the increased communication from the school district. They appreciate being able to ask pointed, specific questions when they're having discussions with their kids about what they did throughout the day, instead of just asking them what they did at school all day. But certainly daily, we have parents that are shown some online activity that is critical and allows them to have conversations with their child and get to the bottom of a potential problem before it becomes a bigger issue. So just to recap very briefly on our filter, when you're filtering with Securely, part of that filtering is our flagged activity that will send real-time alerts to whichever school administrators you choose for a child's school if that student is searching for or visiting websites related to suicide, self-harm, bullying, and we will also send alerts for Facebook status updates and tweets if you allow students to use those platforms as well. So to complement our web filter, to kind of sort of look at the other side of the digital house, we look at email as well through a service that we have called Auditor. Auditor will scan all of your student incoming and outgoing emails and look for indications of suicide, self-harm, violence, and cyberbullying, and will again alert the administrators or adults at that school that you've chosen, will alert in real time for any emails sent or received that indicate there's an issue with any of these topics. It will also extend into Google Docs and provide the same alerting capabilities for Google Docs as well. Want to take a moment just to speak briefly about the technology that we use at a very high level for not only Facebook and Twitter, but what we also use for Auditor as well. I mentioned briefly that we use an emotional sentiment algorithm or a natural language processing algorithm that is able to, in the absence of a typical keyword, in the absence of that, is able to identify negative emotional sentiment based on the pattern of the words being used and put together, the context of the words and how they're used. So a typical keyword alerting system is prone to a lot of false positives where kids are using language. This example here happens to use the word fat, where kids are using the word, or students are using the word fat in a harmless, perhaps academic way, either researching or communicating. This next series of statements that you're reading have actually been pulled from our Auditor and some messages that were sent between students, all again relating to the word fat, but many of these are absent of a keyword. For example, the third one down, looks like you lost weight. What are you now, 5,000 pounds? There's not a keyword in that statement that would trigger that, yet we're able to identify that as something that might want to have a closer look taken at it by school admin. With that, we are also able to discern between somebody threatening violence or somebody just being excited about a sports team, right? So if somebody's posting on Facebook, hey, we're really going to kill the Chicago Bears this weekend, we're able to understand that that's a sports reference, even though it has the keyword, which would potentially flag in certain systems as kill. When Auditor is deployed, again, it will send a real-time alert to the adults that you've chosen at that child's school, and it will include the whole context and email. When you deploy Auditor, again, in your IT admin dashboard, you'll have an Auditor tab that shows up. And this is a little bit of an old screenshot. I need to update this, but we will have the categories that we alert for, which are grief and self-harm, bullying, and what's not pictured here is our violence category, which was the most recently added category. So we will alert to grief and self-harm, bullying, and violence. For profanity itself, profanity used in isolation that's not in conjunction with bullying or harassment or harm or violence. For profanity itself, we will not alert to, but we will populate those emails within your dashboard under the profanity tab so that if you want to take a look at those, if those are of a concern to you, you have the ability to do that. The final piece I'd like to share with you sort of ties both the filtering capabilities and Auditor email and docs capabilities all together. And that's our 24-hour live human monitoring, which is a service provided by Securely and can be applied to our flagged activity for filter alerts, and it can be applied to our Auditor for email and doc alerts. So with 24, what that means is when schools sign up for 24, what that means is our analysts, our 24 team will receive the exact same alerts that your admin teams receive at the exact same time. And our analysts are going to run those through a risk and threat assessment to determine the level of credibility and severity of the flagged activity. Our team is a very experienced, well-vetted team of professionals that have diverse backgrounds, but all related to dealing with crisis situations, mental health, criminology, sociology. My colleague who sits a few feet away from me, has extensive work not only in criminal justice but also in human trafficking and trying to put an end to that in the Charlotte area. So a really professional team that's on the other end of this, helping your staff members get information that's critical and actionable. The way 24 works is when you onboard, you essentially provide 2 or 3 contacts per school. So when a child creates an item that's flagged, whether it's via email or through internet activity, our analysts are going to not only look at that piece of information in isolation, but they're going to pull up all of that student's information that's provided to Securely through Auditor and through the filter. So say an email comes through that's flagged, very quickly in our analyst dashboard, they're able to see not only that email that has been flagged, they will also be able to see everything that child has searched for recently and any websites that child has visited or any social media posts that they've made. So that allows them to make a much more informed reach out. And the reach out is actually the point of 24. So our analysts, when they determine something is what we consider extreme risk, which is it's imminent, it's time bound, it's a threat of harm to self or others, our analysts are going to reach out to the contact that you've provided or contacts that you've provided in order. And we're going to reach out to that first person via text message or phone call, whichever is preferred, until we get an acknowledgement that they've received the notification. Once they acknowledge our analysts' reach out, we will follow that up with an email to that person with all of the context and information that our analysts have put together, so that then you can use your best professional judgment and take the action that you think is appropriate. Again, the extreme risks are going to be items that are imminent, time-bound, threat of harm to self or others. For items that are increased or moderate risk, that are something that seem a little bit concerning, but perhaps are vague and not imminent, not something that can't wait until Monday, but again, something that we think based on our experience, you might want to take a closer look at. We will send those again to you via email from our team, just to make sure that those don't fall through the cracks and that those are taken. People can take a look at those. So a lot of our schools that use 24 will do this without sending devices home, and just like that other set of eyes on that flagged activity, just to help as a reinforcement to their school admin teams, who are oftentimes very busy. And so we'll make those calls throughout the school day. Many of our schools love 24 for those devices going home in the off hours, where there's not an expectation that your school admin team are monitoring these alerts 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But that doesn't necessarily make anybody feel better if something happens and it's not until Monday that it's seen. So while there's not a liability issue with that, the peace of mind again for admin is if something is super critical and serious, you're going to know about it from us. So everybody can kind of take a breath and relax in the evenings and know that we're going to reach out to you if something is of serious concern. And then I guess I do have one more piece. This is just very, very quick, so you at least have it on your radar and know that it's available through us. We also offer, separate from everything else I've just shared, we offer an anonymous tip line. So if you do not have within your district a way for staff and students to anonymously report concerns, we can provide that and host that for you through our tip line. When schools sign up for tip line, they are provided with the collateral that they can advertise to their school community that lets school staff members, students know several different ways that they can anonymously report concerns, either via telephone call, text message, web form, or email. Tips that come in to our service are analyzed by the same team that covers our 24-hour live human monitoring. Again, they run those threats through a risk assessment and will reach out to the contacts that you've provided for the ones that are most imminent and serious. For all other tips, we will pass those along to the contacts that you've provided, so that again, you can use your professional judgment and decide what action needs to be taken. So that was a lot of different pieces. The main piece of Securely is our cloud-based web filtering, which within it has that early warning detection of flagged activity for sites, searches, Facebook, and Twitter posts. With that, you can also choose to implement the Parental Integration Securely Home app feature that, beyond the safety aspect of helping or engaging with parents to help them supervise, beyond that is just a really cool way for school districts to increase communication with parents. And that's something that's often a challenge. It's certainly something that I struggled with as a principal was, how do we engage parents and communicate with parents consistently and effectively in a way that doesn't add more work to our school, but that gives parents some value that they otherwise didn't have beyond grades and attendance. Then we have Auditor for email and Google Docs, which will again report for grief and self-harm, violence, and bullying, again related to the emails and docs. And then many schools choose to add 24-hour live human monitoring over both of those, so that not only can your school admin teams receive those alerts, but there's a team of professionals dedicated just to looking at those alerts and letting you know when something is of the greatest concern. And then as a separate piece, this anonymous tip line, which I just mentioned. So with that, I'm going to stop talking, and I'll hang on the line here and be here for any questions. Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you, Greg. I appreciate your time, and thank you for explaining all the different features here that come with the Securely product. I did want to give a quick introduction to Teresa Reeves and have her just jump on really quick and introduce herself and her background and anything else that you'd like to add, Teresa, to Greg's presentation.
Yeah, hey guys, good afternoon. This is Teresa Reeves. For those that are from Wyoming and Montana, you may recognize the first name, and I was with previously a competitor product for about 8 years and about 15 total years in the ed tech space. So it's great to be back working with all of you. So really excited to show you guys what we're doing, and hope you enjoyed the time with Greg today. Really wanted to, I understand there were some questions regarding the filter. So what I thought I might take is just a couple of minutes as we close out to reiterate what our filter does outside of what Greg's team and what we're doing at Securely from student safety perspective. For those that are curious, Securely is a truly 100% cloud-based filtering solution. So as you're talking through these components, it's 100% cloud-based. This means no agents, right? No appliances. And so you're really not having to worry anymore about bandwidth or bottlenecks in your network. Additionally, we provide SSL decryption specifically for things like Facebook and Twitter, Google, Bing, Yahoo, YouTube, and we leave other sites like banking alone. And I think this is huge for school districts because it eliminates all that latency, right? And allows really phenomenal scalability for your network. So a couple other things for you also all to be aware of is we authenticate with Google very well and Office 365 as well. And obviously enforcing the safe searches for Google, teacher overrides, and take-home policies. So just wanted to briefly introduce that. And also very proud to announce that we recently acquired an organization called Tech Pilot Labs that some of you or most of you may be familiar with. And their focus was 100% K-12 for Chromebook classroom management, as well as an MDM solution. We're really excited at Securely to bring them on board and bring them as part of our solution offering so that it's fully well-rounded. And what we'll do is we'll pass on some information to Kyle and the team to share with you. We offer weekly webinars for both that I'd love for you guys to sit in on if that would be of interest. So thank you for that. Appreciate the time.
Thank you so much, Teresa. I really appreciate you running through those different acquisitions with Securely and some of the other features of the filtering product. With that, I guess we'll jump onto our questions. We did have a question that came through. So Greg, if you want to pick this up, or if Teresa, if you want to add something on after that, that's fine as well. The question came through. It said, with filtering of non-Chromebook devices, I assume this is DNS, is there a way to place certain devices in a non-filtered state? For example, I have some servers whitelisted for filtering, even though I would like the rest of the subnet filtered. Not all of these devices have a login.
I can take that response, Kyle. Absolutely. So the powerful thing about Securely is that you actually don't have to worry about that just because we are selective. We're a selective mechanism, and we do not touch things like your software updates, online banking, state testing sites, etc. And likely, and we can take this offline, your servers are probably making calls to security software, right? Your Microsoft or domains, HVAC, etc. systems, and these are things that we do not touch at Securely. So if there's something that we have actually categorized, but that needs to go through without filtering, we can actually add that to our global allow list to allow for that to go through, and that'll bypass Securely altogether across all of your OUs within your infrastructure as a global or inherent policy. I hope that answers the question.
I think so. I think we have another question in the same vein. So let me read this one here. It says, I understand that an extension would need to be installed on a Chromebook for proper filtering. What about devices that we do not have the ability to deploy an app extension? An example would be a student's personal device, phone on a guest network that we want some kind of filter.
Correct. That's a great question. So the way that Securely filters, there are 3 methods of filtering that Securely provides. For Chromebooks, you're exactly correct. That's a Chromebook extension that's made available for easy deployment on those Chromebook devices. We also provide a DNS, standard DNS filtering. But the third one, and I think most importantly, the DNS filter, the DNS option is a wonderful option for those guest, I call them rogue or unknown devices, right, that are trying to access your network, Wi-Fi, okay? So those are great for a BYOD program, great for guest network. The third, and the one for school-owned devices for Windows, iOS, Android, is our Smart Pack solution. So this, for those that are technical on the call, this is really kind of, think about the pack file extension that you guys are familiar with, but instead, it actually, we have what we call Smart Pack, which is our patented technology that puts our API and then deployed out, so that it's no longer, you're not having to touch every single device, it's deployed centrally and managed that way. So for school-owned devices that are not Chromebooks, we use Smart Pack. For guest BYOD rogue devices that are using your network, then it's going to be a DNS filter.
Thank you, Teresa. I appreciate that. Greg, I have one for you here. The last question we have here is the auditor portion of Securely part of Securely, or is it an add-on to the feature sets?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So we have a base feature auditor, which is actually free. And so we call that Auditor Lite, or I guess just our free version of Auditor. So that's something that if you do not have anything monitoring your email currently, you can deploy that tomorrow or this afternoon if you wanted to. It's limited in its functionality in that the free version will just scan incoming and outgoing Gmail messages and will alert to one individual. So where the premium version of Auditor will extend into Google Docs and will allow for that delegated reporting and alerting to go to multiple staff members at each school. It will also include, it should be ready at the beginning of this summer, our nudity detection for nude images that are either attached to emails or saved in Drive. So that will be another aspect. So there is a very basic form of Auditor, which is completely free and provides the same alerting, but it will just go to one person and be limited to the email only. And then there's a premium version, which can be purchased separately. And will extend into Google Docs and include nudity images and that delegated alerting.
Thank you. The last question we have is if I have some kind of filtering agents, say an iBoss or some other filter in place, would Securely be something that would replace that, or is this more of something in addition? And Teresa or Greg, I don't know who wants to take that one.
I'd be happy to take that one. So it really depends on the infrastructure. So I have a couple of stories and case studies where we have completely replaced, obviously, the existing, for instance, as an example, iBoss solution entirely. But we've also had situations where we have set up filtering for those that want to utilize this for the mobile filtering element only and remain with their current filter for on-prem devices. It does require us to have a good sit down to understand your infrastructure and how your environment is set up, but we can absolutely be flexible in that more of a collaborative environment for those districts that need that. Obviously, we're going to be a benefit for, on-premise and off-site filtering, but I'm a little partial, so.
Well, thank you so much for answering those questions, guys. To everyone who's out there on the call, we will have this recorded, we have recorded this webinar today, and so we'll be actually pushing this out to you guys as early as Monday. So if you have any administrators that were unable to join with us today, please have them go through and watch this. We'd love to have them be engaged. I don't think this is something that comes from the technical side, and it's not necessarily a product that is going to be used or have some backing in the district just straight from the from your IT director role. This is something that needs to be engaged from an administrator level, from a principal level. We want to make sure that everyone is engaged with this type of product because it impacts them all. It's not really something that's squarely on your shoulders. And we do have a great offer today from Securely. Teresa has authorized us to give you guys a 30-day demo, full access to the suite so that you guys can run with it and actually see how it works in your environment. So if you want to take advantage of that, please reach out to either myself or to Brandon Van Cleve or Brandon Bassett, any one of us over here at Pine Cove, and we would love to set up another call individual with you to get that demo running for you and talk to you about any other questions that you guys might have. We really appreciate your time today. And again, if you have any questions, concerns, or want to do that demo, please reach out to us. And we want to thank the Securely Group for joining us today.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Everyone have a great afternoon.